I take great delight in introducing all of viewers to not only a very inspiring person we have here, Mr. Kiran Kumar, founder and managing trustee of Open Minds World School, but also a very unique school. Open Minds World School is one of its kind that Karnataka is very proud to have, and we take delight in introducing our viewers to it. Sir, a very warm welcome to our school's platform. This is a Leader Speak series. This is an initiative where we are connecting our parent community to schools and school leadership. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you.
Sir, Open Mind World School, as I already said, is unique. It is very student-centric school. So can you give us a little bit of more information about it?
We are a 100% student-centered school. When I say student-centered, a child decides, how he or she should learn, and through what materials or what sources the child should learn. So, as the word itself says, it's not teacher-centric; it's purely student-centric. So we don't have classrooms, we don't have timetable, we don't have a teacher coming and teaching a group of students. In fact, a child chooses to go to any subject that the child wants to study at whatever the time, and it's not the bells that decide how much a child should learn, but a child's interest and his or her commitment to work that decides how long should the child be in a particular working space, learn and document all its learning. So that's how we are a purely student-centric school.
Amazing to know the child decides what to learn, how much to learn. So to an outsider, this slightly looks as if there is no structure to it, but I'm very sure there is a structure and a good order and a science and research backing it. So how do you ensure the discipline and order?
Well, we follow CBSE curriculum, and at every age group, whatever the recommendations of NCF, recommendations of NCERT, and recommendations of CBSE textbooks, that's taken care. What we generally do is we divide the entire year's curriculum into 16 to 18 concepts. So, and we provide these concepts as challenges to children. So a child gets a problem statement, and once the child gets the problem statement, then a child has to plan how to solve that problem. So the child uses its previous knowledge, discusses it out with the mentors or the child's peers, and figures out how the child can solve it. He or she will come and prepare a plan on how they are going to solve it, and they would present it to the mentors. And if the plan is good, then we will allow the child to go ahead and learn and find the solution. If we feel that the plan requires a little change, then we suggest those changes as well and help the child move ahead with his learning. We have a credit-based evaluation system. We don't go with asking a few questions or definitions, and if a child writes a definition, then think that the child has learned this. That's not the practice that we have. We go with a credit-based evaluation system, and even that is backed up by 5-parameter evaluation. We test their memory, their comprehension capabilities, their inference capabilities, how a child can apply information, and how a child can convert information into knowledge. So all these 5 parameters are tested, and only when a child proves it's learning against all these 5 parameters, we consider that as learning. So it is a highly research-based methodology. For over 20 plus years, we have worked in almost 12 countries with over 380,000 students and 14,000 plus teachers to arrive at the system that we have evolved, which takes care of developing a child completely to be independent learner and learn on its own, on his own, her own, for not just for the purpose of examinations, but for the purpose of life.
So very unique ideology, and very Unique is the word that is coming, way of doing things. Absolutely fantastic. Management stands by this ideology. Excellent. How do you make sure that your teaching staff and faculty also reflect the same ideology? They are also in line with it.
In fact, we select our mentors. We call our teachers as mentors because they don't teach. We select them based on their ability of change making. So we look for change makers basically, and I'm very proud to say that we have a good team of change makers here in Open Minds World School. Their commitment towards children, their development, making them become leaders in the future is something which is commendable. So once we hire them, they undergo a very rigorous training, very rigorous training for 15 days on psychology, on pedagogical developments, and making student-centered pedagogy work. So after all these things, they actually start working with the children.
Just fantastic to know that, sir. Like how much training also the teachers get, the support the teachers get, mentors in this case. And it's very encouraging to know that even the teachers, mentors in this case, are also well supported. I was just going through it and I came across this very interesting thing. 10 subjects are taught in the school, out of which 4 is slightly unusual. We have made it as a topic, like these 4 are compulsory probably for all the children to pick. Foreign language especially stood out. You have 1 co-curricular, 1 fine art, and 1 sports, either game or track and field. So how did this thought process came in?
A child needs to have multiple exposures, and every child has one or the other skill, and all that it requires is a little bit of exposure, little bit of push, and rigorous practice. So we we have 4 foreign languages that we offer right now. In fact, we continuously keep increasing number of new foreign languages that are added. Currently, we have French, German, Chinese, and Dutch. A child has to pick up 1 foreign language from grade 1 onwards, and it's a 3 years course. A basic course is a 3 years course. Post that, a child might continue working on the same language into intermediate level, or change the language and learn another language's basic course. We have co-curricular activities like theatre activity, dances, all performing arts, music, both instrumental and vocal, and fine arts. So a child, based on its skill, its interest, can either choose a performing art or a fine art, basically to express itself, basically to put out an artistic form of his thoughts or ideas, and excel in that. Sports is something which is a mandatory subject for us. Like it also carries 10 credits every week. So a child needs to participate in either a game or a track and field activity and start learning it so a little seriously. So these are literally part of a child's everyday routine in the school.
Many things are differentiating you from the regular schools. Just encouraging to know that with so much things going on, sir, and there are no walls, no doors, even your own office space is an open space. So how is safety ensured?
Well, this entire campus is surrounded by CCTV cameras, and every child's safety is something which is important for us and for every parent. All the parents are literally seriously concerned about how safe is a child, and our employees are trained especially to take care of child safety. Every child is looked at as a future leader on our campus. So we talk to them, we respect them, and their dignity is always kept high. So that itself takes care of a lot of mistakes that probably might happen on the campus, and all other safety concerns are addressed through the way we treat children, how they are, how they move around in and around the campus, and the CCTV cameras and other safety measures that we have.
Wonderful to know that child is not only nurtured, but also very well protected. So the kids at Open Mind World School are learning so many things. So how many events or what kind of big functions do you hold in your campus where children can showcase all these talents?
Well, we have 4 parent-teacher meetings in a year, and all these meetings happen in the evening time only. So parents come in around 5:30. We complete the meetings, and with every meeting, we have our children performing whatever they have learned. Yearly they put up 2 theater shows, lots of other co-curricular activities, and their other additional learning. They exhibit all their skills in front of their parents, in all these 4 parents teachers meetings. We don't have a school day as such, no union day or a school day, but we have a graduation day on the last day of the academic year. So on that day, again, it's a big event where most of our children showcase what they've learned throughout the year.
One thing that while I was looking into your school, the one thing that stood out was how you have a math lab, which is I don't think is a norm in many schools. But what was more interesting was all the apparatus and the instruments, everything, the learning tools and aids. They're all they're not behind a door. They're just open. They're not locked, and they are easily accessible for the students, the young children. So what was the idea behind this? How is this making all these tools accessible for children? Where did this innovative thought process came from?
In fact, we don't have the concept of classroom, laboratory, and library. All these 3 things are mixed. And a child, when he or she starts learning, if a child wants to use the laboratory or books from the library, they must be available, to the children all the time. So our library and laboratory are exactly pushed into the classroom itself, in their learning spaces itself. So their learning space has all these things, and we want the children to use them. We are not afraid of, breakages or wreckages by the use of, children using these materials or apparatus. So wear and tear is always there, but at the same time, children also learn to be responsible whenever they handle any of these materials and apparatus. So that's absolutely fine. Like, they learn by, handling them.
Very refreshing thought process and way of doing things. So what inspired you to come into field of education? How did you become an educator?
That's a very lengthy story. In fact, when I completed my post-graduation in 1999, there was a question that we asked, a couple of friends asked amongst ourselves. Say, if there are 40 students in a classroom, and if there is a teacher who teaches all these 40 students for an entire year, and at the end of the year, when there is a assessment conducted, we get 40 different outputs. Okay, that's acceptable. 40 different outputs are absolutely acceptable. But what is not acceptable is this 40 different output ranges between 0 to 100. Some children fail miserably. Some children get out of out. So we wanted to understand why is this difference. So we started working on, this question, and that answer to that question led us to this school after almost 16 years. So initially we thought teacher empowerment probably is going to create magics, and then we thought a direct intervention program with students probably might create a difference. We thought bringing in a lot of modern technology into the classrooms might probably work. We thought digitalized content might work, but in fact, the approach of teaching learning, when we change that, when we change the evaluation patterns, right now, the evaluation that we have, there has been a lot spoken about that in, NEP as well. The memory-based evaluation practice that we have, or in a simple way, if we have to say, summative assessments that we conduct, as a part of the child's, schooling, that I think should change. Only then there would be a big change in the learning patterns of children. Learning to keep certain things in memory, or to learn certain definitions, that probably is not going to make a child call himself or herself as a learner. But if a child has certain information, if the child can actually use that information to be creative, then that is something which can actually make a big difference, to the society. So the way we look at the whole process of learning is different, and that's how our journey has taken us, all these years, and we figured out that okay, this is how a schooling pattern must be, to ensure that a child is actually given enough space, enough freedom, where he or she decides how he or she should learn and what he or she should learn.
Just fantastic, sir. A bunch of friends come together, they sit, they brainstorm, and the result is this amazing learning space where kids are happy. Just fantastic, honestly. So definitely inspiration has come, thought process, work has been done. Now today, what is it that keeps you going every day, giving your best to this learning space?
Well, like how every day is a new day in our life, every day in a school is also a very, very interesting and a learning day, both for children and for us. So we being educators, we look at development in children, how they have been able to change. Any learning brings in, a change. It could be a change in their emotions, their personality, their intellectual abilities, or their behavior. So how these changes take place, and how we probably can help them, develop much stronger and more eager to learn more things. So that is what is the most important thing. And every day is looking at our children growing, making them get into the shoes of a change maker is something which is an exciting job.
Working for the betterment of a child, making the child future ready, being capable. Love the idea, sir, and your people are doing it so wonderfully well. I'm sure your whole parent community is very grateful to you for that. Sir, you just mentioned about
also very
that.
grateful to our parent community because they believed in us. It's because they believed in us, we are, probably we have grown to that extent, and we are able to cater to a larger community now.
Definitely, sir. Already a lot of new innovative things are being done in your school. So what's in store for the future? What other exciting things, new things can we look forward to?
Well, right now we are working towards establishing a couple of more campuses, one in Gujarat and another one in Karnataka itself. So, and we are trying to slowly, our work is getting kind of spread to a lot many areas now. So we also have started helping other existing institutions in terms of converting their existing uh, teacher-centric models to student-centric models, and grow in the best interest of their students and their parents' individual happiness. So that's what we are trying to do now.
happy to know, sir, that there are more schools like yours coming up. Congratulations on that. So best wishes for your growth. Sir, your feedback on a platform schools.
Well, schools, uh, in fact, I have been looking at it right from the beginning. We were probably one of the first few schools, who got enrolled onto the platform. Uh, that's a real good platform for a parent who looks at, choosing right school for the child. So every parent would have an idea about what the child should do, how schooling should be for his or her own daughter or son. So they would have a platform where they can exactly, go through multiple schools and choose what is right for them. So schools is a right platform where every parent can get good insight on every school that are enrolled.
So thank you for those warm words, and we appreciate your support right from the beginning, sir. Much appreciated, and thank you for those kind words. So plenty of congratulations for those new openings, and all the very best wishes from me and our schools for your growth. But I'm sure our parents out there who are viewing this today would have had a fantastic insight into this unique school, and now they are more able to make a educated choice for the child. So thank you so much for being on our Leader Speak series. It was a delight to have you, where we are connecting parents to schools and school leadership. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.